Hi guys, and welcome back to K9TV episode 8. Really excited actually. We're in Christchurch, New Zealand. So a big hello to everyone that's joining us. Please let me know where you're joining in from, where you're tuning in from, and that you can hear everything okay. Tonight we're going to be talking about traveling with your dog. Ironically, we're in a dog training tour here. We've the first time to the South Island here in beautiful New Zealand. So thank you very much to all of the people that are looking after us here. So Janice from Tevra Dog Training, and of course JP with your North Canterbury Dog Training. So thank you very much to the guys here. We've got a fabulous seminar arranged for the weekend. Thank you guys. I can see the thumbs up coming, which is always really cool. Nice to know that you're joining us. So yeah, we thought that we'd talk about traveling with your dog, some of the things that maybe you haven't considered previously. And certainly some of the things that resonate for myself, being on the road and traveling and obviously being an absolute dog lover. So some of the things I've got written down here, particularly in regards to car travel, some of the things that you may not have considered or potentially even experienced with your dog. We certainly come across a lot of dogs that get car sick, and there's nothing worse, of course, than having your dog vomit in your car and that type of thing. So quite often it's normal for your puppies to get car sick. And hopefully, fingers crossed with this one, that many puppies will grow out of it. The main thing, though, and an important thing to consider is that we make sure that as best that we possibly can is not to make our dogs avoid having our dogs feel car sick or experience that, because of course the same as we would feel if every time that we got into a vehicle that we were sick and we threw up and that type of thing, we would have an adverse experience every time that someone tried to put us into the car or get us into the car. So trying to have your dog, enjoy the experience. So if you've got particularly a puppy, and when I refer to a puppy, mainly I'm referencing dogs that are under 4 months of age, so that's 16 weeks. So, perhaps shorter travel periods. If you need to drive for a longer period, maybe you need to break that up. Now, that's not always convenient, but life gets in the way, or our dogs get in the way of our lives sometimes, but shorter travel period, because if we can make the experience less aversive and more pleasant for your dog, they're of course going to enjoy it a truckload more. Depending on when you're traveling with your dog in the car, potentially, consider if you can monitor the feeding time. So if you're traveling in the morning, perhaps you might delay their breakfast and maybe feed them lunch instead, or vice versa. That can certainly have, a great benefit. I know with my old girl, Sammy, she was horrendously car sick while she was a young little pup. We were lucky enough to have her grow out of it, but again, I didn't pop her in the car and continuously have her experience that it was, a negative effect, because of course, if something makes you feel sick, you're not going to enjoy it. And of course, as a result, you'll naturally try to avoid it. So that's one of the things that I talk about in regards to traveling with your dog. Try to make it as pleasant as possible, and consider what it is that they're actually experiencing. Some of the symptoms to look out for dogs getting stressed in the car, and stress in general. You may see that they start to lick their lips a lot more. So, they're constantly licking and whatnot. So that can be a sign of stress. Excessive drool. And regardless of your breed, even if you, for example, have, let's say a bull mastiff. I grew up with bull mastiffs, and they're very drooly dogs. If they drool quite a lot, plus they're licking, these are all signs of stress. Yawning in a dog. So if you see your dog, just start to yawn in the car, that can certainly be another sign of the stress. And obviously respiration rate. So if your dog starts to pant and if it's a normal day, let's say it's 18, 22 degrees, and your dog starts panting, again, potential signs of stress there. So if I was to see one of my dogs start to experiencing that when they're in the car with me, I'd probably pull over. I'd give them, maybe, depending on the dog, 5 or 10 minute break before I continued on my journey. So, guys, let's make car travel fun. Some of the other things that I've written down here is, where does your dog actually travel in the car? Oh, hang on. So I've had something come up. Hopefully we're still live, guys. Can I get a couple of thumbs up, please, just to make sure you're still with me? Oh, Paul, I've just seen your message. Why is it always you, Paul? So if you can't see it, guys, Gorgeous Paul's put up, how do you control a dog from farting in the car? Paul, what's your dog's diet? Mr. Finn, I'm sure he doesn't fart. Yeah, what's your dog's diet, guys? Apart from that, we will talk about that on another note. I'm not a dietary expert when it comes to our dogs, you funny bugger. So, whereabouts in the car does your dog travel? That can certainly, play important roles. Many times as I'm traveling, guys, this would be really interesting to hear some feedback. Let me see some thumbs up. Have you, been driving on the roads and you've seen, or are you sneakily giggly and guilty of it, where you're driving and your dog is on your lap whilst you're driving? I have seen it multiple times. If you've seen it, or if you're guilty of it, and this is a good thing, you can confess here and be completely anonymous. Give me a thumbs up. I'd be really surprised if I don't get a thumbs up, because we see dogs on the driver's lap as they're driving, or on the front seat. So sorry, the passenger seat. So as you're driving along, and you look over and there's a dog in the passenger seat. The tricky thing with this, guys, whilst if you have a small dog, you might think that it's okay to have your dog on your lap whilst you're driving, or you may sit there and say, hey, it's on the passenger seat, that's fine. Have you considered what an airbag would do to your dog? Now, for those of you that have tuned into K9TV before, if you're new, welcome and thank you very much. You'll know that the advice that I give is because I love dogs very, very much. I'm exceptionally passionate about their health and their well-being, and I know how much that we all love them, and we just want nothing but the best for our dogs. Particularly, I can only really comment for Australia, but there are guidelines in regards to children in the front seat of cars. I believe the weight ratio is 45 kilos before a child is allowed in the front seat of a car due to airbags. If you think about what an airbag can do to a young child, why would we put our dogs in that situation? If an airbag has to deploy, I would be devastated if my dog was in the front seat and an airbag deployed. It is nothing but a nasty, horrible, heartbreaking situation. So, guys, that might be something that you hadn't considered before. And it's always one of those things. I mean, back in the 80s, there used to be commercials because, people weren't wearing seatbelts. And you'd say, even if you're just popping down to the local shop. So in Australia, we say milk bar. In New Zealand, you say dairy. So you just pop down to the local shop. And, you don't wear a seatbelt. As we all know, tragic accidents happen in a split second. If we could prepare for them and avoid them, we all would. And that's why they're called accidents and not deliberates. So, guys, think about it. Where is your dog traveling in your car? Please be aware of airbags. They are a nightmare if they were to deploy and hit your dog. Do yourself a favor. Save your dog's life and don't give yourself that level of grief. So that, to me, is a massive, point and a factor to me. Diamond, thanks, Dale. Thanks for checking in. You're all regular here. Diamond says here, or flying through the front window. Absolutely. That brings me to the next point. Even for dogs that are in the back seat of your car, or if you have a station wagon or a four-wheel drive or a ute with a canopy, that type of thing. Is your dog secured? Now, particularly in the back seat of cars, I think having your dog wear some type of seatbelt. I personally am not an advocate of having a restraint tethered to your dog's collar. Again, if you're driving along and you have to brake quite suddenly and heavily, if your dog is tethered by its collar, and there's enough speed and immediate stopping power, if you would, if there's that sudden stop, then your dog's body is going to fly through the air. The only thing that's tethering it to the back seat is its neck. Now, we don't wear seatbelts around our neck because if it's going to go pear-shaped, that's an awful pear to have to try and consume. So you know, have a look around at the different kind of seatbelts that are available. To put it honestly, there's a lot of cheap, nasty crap, unfortunately, on the market when it comes to, you know, dog seatbelts. They will certainly market them really, really well because, of course, marketing is what has us as a consumer purchase. You will see seatbelts that have plastic buckles. Now, one of the kind of little test phrases that I will use is, would you abseil off a you know, a building using that particular piece of equipment? Check out the stability of the plastic buckles. I know that we've done a K9TV on different types of equipment and the durability of buckles and clips. So they're the things that you certainly want to have a look at. You'd like metal fastenings, you know, have a look at the durability, the quality, that type of thing. So they're really important. But certainly having your dog wear a seatbelt. True story, we had clients of ours who were driving their staffy, gorgeous Bruce. So if any of the Turners are watching, a big hello to you guys. They were driving their staffy back from Eildon. Unfortunately, they were Eildon. Sorry for those of you that may not know, Eildon is a tourist spot, a beautiful lake, and lots of people travel to and from. It's roughly 2.5 hours out of Melbourne. They were driving home, and Bruce was in the back of the four-wheel drive ute, so in a canopy. And unfortunately, a car pulled out in front of them, and it was a T-bone accident. Luke, the driver, luckily all is okay. I believe there was air ambulance and whatnot involved, like horrific kind of accident. Poor little Bruce was ejected from the canopy in the back of the ute. And of course, because it was quite a severe accident, so we're talking about 100, 110K kind of, if you would, almost smack head-on accident kind of thing. Bruce unfortunately was ejected from the vehicle, and no one was to know. And of course, his partner and family were more worried about him, obviously, at the time, until all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, where's Bruce?" It took, from memory, this is a couple of years ago, maybe a week before they found Bruce. Lucky little bugger is you know, was fine and okay, but you know, don't forget about that. So Diamond, thank you for bringing that out, because the last thing we want is for our dogs to be, you know, technically what is called a missile, where they can either fly and hit you in the back of the head in a vehicle, or unfortunately go through windows and things like that. Guys, we love our dogs. Let's just keep them safe. So I was ecstatic that Bruce made you know, came through that, and obviously as did Luke. So guys, cargo barriers and other things in cars to consider. So making sure if you've got a station wagon, things like that, how is your dog tethered? Are they in a suitable and safe seatbelt / harness, or do you have a proper cargo barrier? I've seen a lot of the dodgy, crappy ones that are sold that have, if you would, the suction caps that stick on the window. If you hit that with enough force, they're just, you know, that's a polite kind of cargo barrier that's going to stop your dog potentially from jumping over and saying hello. But is it actually going to, you know, help your dog and provide your dog with any protection? So, you know, potentially you may want to have a look at having your dog travel in a crate, or something along those lines. And in regards to, again, car travel exit strategies, so instead of just opening your door, hello, I've got a visitor. Are you coming up? Hello. Here we go, guys. Look, hang on. Here's my pretend schnauzer. JP's going to love that. Hello, darling. Got distracted. When it comes to exit strategies, one of the things that we want to have a look at, you know, if you're opening the boot of a station wagon or a four-wheel drive, make sure that your dog doesn't just, you know, dart out and shoot out in the middle of the street. If you open the back seat of your, you know, your back door, I should say, making sure that your dog understands that they shouldn't just bolt straight out. So we always recommend having what we call a release cue. So you might sit there, and one of the release cues that we use is the word free. You might sit there and say, you know, hop out, or whatever it is. The word is irrelevant, but we do certainly recommend, you know, having your dog on some type of, you know, exit strategy, so they understand that they can come out okay. Guys, some of the other things just quickly to cover off when it comes to traveling with your dog. I'm sitting here with my friend. Have a look at this. She's loving it. Hello. Are you my little friend? Hello, baby. Sorry. It's nice to have dogs. I get lonely when I travel without having my babies with me. So public transport. If you take your dog on public transport, some of the things that need to be considered is your socialization of your dog. So, as much as you can, making sure that the socialization is done correctly. We quite often talk about neutral socialization. So I'm assuming that most people understand under-socialized dogs. Of course, that creates behavioral issues. But also, you potentially may have over-socialized dogs, and they're the social butterflies that just want to run up, run up, say hello to everybody, have pats and cuddles. And on public transport, this may not be acceptable. So, there might be some people that aren't so fond of dogs, or may be intimidated. Perhaps if you have a larger breed dog. Myself, I've got Rotties, and I'm respectful that some people can be slightly intimidated by their size. And I sit there and say, if I can sit there and advocate for my dog and help teach people that, there's nothing to be intimidated of. He's under effective control. He's a great boy. If I tell him to sit or down, drop, whatever your command is, that he's going to listen and comply. That is the best thing to do. Advocate for your dog, protect your dog. And if you're a breed fan, as I said, I'm a Rottweiler breed fan. I will do whatever I can to help that breed, certainly have a good light in the public eye. Susan, I've just read, is it true that dogs must be muzzled on public transport? To the best of my knowledge, yes, absolutely. In Victoria, the dogs are supposed to be muzzled or carried. So I know Susan has a collie. I think it would be quite funny seeing you with your large breed dog in some type of carry case. But yeah, I believe that they either have to be in a carry case or they do have to be muzzled. So that's one of the things that I've got on my list. But guys, having a dog neutrally socialized is a must, no matter whether you have your dog on public transport or not. Having obedience. Absolutely. It's a critical factor. And I think for anyone that watches K9TV, this is a pivotal factor, and it's something that you'll see that comes up in all of our chats and conversations. Having obedience, it gives you verbal control. It builds a relationship. It's a form of communication with your dog, so you can advocate for them, protect them, and tell them what they need to be doing in different social situations. So having obedience with your dog is certainly an important one. Having a dog crate trained potentially, may be of importance, particularly if you have a smaller breed. So smaller breeds, perhaps like a toy poodle, your Papillon, Pomeranian, etc. Depending on the weight of your dog and what you're comfortable carrying around. So having a dog in a crate, and again, this ties into what your question was, Susan, in regards to do they have to be muzzled? My understanding is that in Victoria, so this is Victoria, Australia, that dogs do either have to be muzzled or in a carry case / crate. So definitely muzzle training. We do have a video on our YouTube channel in regards to muzzle training, our take on it, why we muzzle train dogs. And I think muzzle training our puppies is such a fantastic idea. Which can be a little bit confronting to some people, particularly if you've just got a new puppy. You'd be like, oh, but why do I need to muzzle train my dog? I recommend checking that out and just learning as the massive benefits of doing things like muzzle training. Hi, Rodney. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for saying hi. Bear with me. And the last thing, guys, that I just wanted to have a quick chat about tonight in regards to traveling with your dogs is chartered travel. So like, for example, having your dog on a plane or maybe a boat. Living in Melbourne, we quite often hear of dogs that will travel on a boat from Melbourne through to Tasmania. So some of the things that I think are important to consider. Now, I will firstly declare I personally don't like traveling with my dogs on what I'm describing as, a chartered travel arrangement, so boats or aeroplanes, etc. And some of the reasons why, and we'll go through that. First of all, where is your dog housed on this travel? Unfortunately, I don't have a private jet. I'm working on it. If anyone would like to sponsor me for a travel, for a private jet, just, hook me up and we'll see what we can do. Maybe I can come out and do some, dog training seminars or whatnot. But current legislation within Australia, I know it's different in different parts of the world. But in Australia, your dog can't travel in the cabin with you on a plane, and to the best of my knowledge, nor can they travel with you on a boat, say cruise ship or something along those lines. So I would be questioning, where is the dog going to be housed? Are they checked throughout the travel? So, okay, if they're in some kind of cargo area or a pet area, are they checked? Are there people there supervising what's going on? What happens if something goes wrong? Do staff have access to the area? There's certainly things that are of concern to me. How are they housed? So, what's the temperature like? Is it regulated? Is the air checked? Again, is there access to, just staff from that plane or that boat have access to that area? That to me is of high priority. There was a just really distressing case, unfortunately, a couple of years back, where a Victorian lady, unfortunately, lost her two beautiful Rottweilers. I don't know of her personally, but geez, my heart goes out to her so much. She lost two of her beautiful, beautiful dogs, because unfortunately they were housed in an area of the boat where it wasn't suitable, the oxygen wasn't suitable, and carbon monoxide poisoning, and that's just devastating. And that touches my heart, because I can't imagine how that poor Sauce went through, or what she went through as an owner. So I do sit there and say, where are they housed? Are you able to check? Are there staff that check? What's going on with the quality of the air? What is is the air conditioning? Is the heating, depending on the climate that you're in? They're things that are pivotal to me, that need to be checked. Another thing I've got written down here is, can you check on them? So, are you allowed to go down and check? I have heard, I'm not sure if this is true. Again, I don't travel with my dogs unless I have full access to them. That's my personal choice. Can you check on them? Are you allowed to, go to that section of the plane or that section of the boat to check on them? If you're not allowed to, I'd be questioning the reasons as to why. I understand there's OH&S. OH&S is the Australian Occupational Health and Safety. So, it's put in place for the best interest of, human health and protection. But, my dog's every much important to me. So can you check on them? And of course, finally, once we've gone through all of those things, is have you habituated your dog to the best of your ability to that particular situation? So habituated quite often, falls under the umbrella of socialization. So basically all it means is, have you got your dog used to that type of environment, that situation? Are they used to being separate from you? Are they used to having loud mechanical sounds perhaps, or the vibration of a plane taking off, or the boat, or, who knows what it is? Again, I personally choose not to travel with my dogs like that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong by it by any means, but until I have my private jet, or Australia changes its legislation where my dogs can be housed in the footwell of my plane, or wherever it is, that's a choice that I make. So, make sure your dog is, as much as you can, comfortable and prepared for those situations. We love our dogs. It's our right, and it's our dog's right, and it's our obligation. The moment we take on a dog, we take on all the responsibilities of advocating and loving them very much. Guys, again, thank you so much for checking in. Thanks for those that left a comment, for those that gave me a thumbs up and a love heart and a couple of wow faces for some of the pointers that you need to be considering. Again, we're live from Christchurch this evening. I know a lot of you have been asking us what it's like here after the recent earthquakes. Touch wood, everyone's okay from the areas that we've been traveling. Our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out for everybody that may have been affected. As always, guys, stay safe, take care, and be kind. Take care, guys. Mwah. Bye.